Okay, we are graphing parabolas again, only we're going to look at it from a little slightly different viewpoint. Um, Again, graph from the origin, standard form, not from the origin. We'll skip the applied, but um, that unfortunately that's the best part of it is getting to apply this stuff. You need to know the mathematics of it all though. So things that we knew in the past, based on whether this thing faced up or down. We had vertex form, we had standard form, we had factored form. We knew that the axis of symmetry was negative b over 2a. These are all things that we knew. We're now going to introduce horizontal and vertical ellipses. Now notice that one of the things that you need to pay attention to is the fact that vertical parabolas are x squareds. So what happens if we end up with something that is y squared? Well, it gets turned on its ear and goes the other way. The other thing we have is that we're going to introduce not only the vertex, but something called the focus point and the directrix. Now, the interesting thing about those two are that any point on this parabola is going to be equal distant from the focus to that point, perpendicular to the directrix. Okay, and those lines there are going to be equal. Standard form of the equation shows up in y equals 4px and x squared equals 4py. We know this is going to be a vertical ellipse. This is going to be a horizontal ellipse. Some again, more information about this stuff. Another look at it if you want to take a closer look at the directrix. The distance from the vertex to the focus is going to be the same as the distance from the vertex to the directrix. Same distance. All right, so given this equation, y squared equals 8x. Now remember, we have this thing that says y squared equals 4px, p being what? Was there anything here about p? Well, yeah, there was. That was the distance from the vertex to the focal point, wasn't it? So if I can take and rewrite this as y squared equals 4 times 2x, that means p equals 2. We know our vertex now is at 0, 0. This is going to be opening up to the right, horizontal opening up to the right. We have a focus point here. We're going to have a directrix at x equals -2. And then from there we're going to graph our parabola. Our parabola, though, is going to have a few more details to it. And I'm going to come back to this graph so we can finish it. Notice that we introduce here something called the lattice rectum. Lattice rectum goes through the focus point and is the length of the absolute value of 4p. Well, remember here 4p equals 8. So through the focus point, that means 4 this direction and 4 this direction. That allows me to identify a couple of points so I can more accurately graph my parabola. No plugging in points, we just know what that information is. Again, let's just do it this way. Lattice rectum goes from there to there. That has a length of 8. Okay, so if I rewrite this equation, x squared equals -4 times 3y. I know my p-value is 3. I know this is going to be a vertical parabola facing down. Um, we know we're at the origin, so we've got this point here. Uh, we've got 3 going down, so my focus point here is at 0, -3. My latus rectum is going to be at +3. That's up here. I'm sorry, my directrix is up there at y equals 3. My latus rectum, gotta love that name though, don't you? Is your 4p. That's going to be absolute value of -12, right, which is 12. So that means 6, 1 this way and 6 this way through the focus point. All right, so I end up with a really wide parabola going through those points. And that's pretty much it. That's how simple it is. So anytime you have to write an equation, it's always a good idea to sketch the information so you can visually see what you have. The parabola focus is at 8, 0. So the focus is way out here. We know the vertex is going to be here because that's all we're dealing with so far. The directrix then is going to be out here someplace. So this parabola does something like this, right? What I've identified is my p-value is 8. We know this is going to be an x squared equals 4py. X squared equals 32y is my standard equation. So that wasn't all that bad when it's at the origin. Okay, what if it's not at the origin? Okay, we're back to completing the square again, I bet at some point, but we've got our h and k embedded in the equation, right? It tells you where the vertex is going to be when it's not at the origin. They give you the arithmetic of finding these things, but I think visually it's pretty straightforward. So let's take a look again at what we have. Where'd it go? 4. All right, so I have a vertex at h is 2, k is -1, 2, -1. Here's my vertex. Okay, your 4p equals 4, so doesn't p have to equal 1? This is a vertical parabola facing up. P is 1, therefore my directrix is down here at y equals, -2. I know that 4p is 4, so therefore coming through my vertex, that's going to be 2 units this way. Sorry, 2 units this way and 2 units this way. And now I can draw my parabola going through those points. Because my latus rectum equaled 4. That's this right here. All right, one more, I believe, and this is going to require some completing the square. I'm hoping maybe there's more than one. All right, so because the y squared, we know this is going to be a horizontal already, so there's no mixing this up. This is going to be y squared plus 2y plus something equals -4x plus 7 taken to the other side, right? Half the middle term squared is 2. and I probably should let you guys try to finish this, and I'll pause it and let you guys come back and finish. All right, let's see what we got. So I think I had a 2 here before. Half the middle term squared is 1, not 2. So I add 1 there. Complete the square. I factored out the -4. That tells me my p is 1. Remember, it's absolute value. X probably could be -1, I guess, is going to the left. Latus rectum is at has a length of 4. That identified that piece. Focus at 1, -1. Directrix at x equals 3. Pretty straightforward. Have some fun with this. By the way, you guys, when we get to this, completing the square, this is going to be your extra credit problem for this year. Good luck.